Your ex is almost never going to just come out and tell you how they feel. So really, you need to be tuned into the signals that they're sending you without words. Now, some of these can be very subtle, but once you recognize them, then you'll be able to determine if your ex still has strong feelings for you or not. Now, this is really vital to know if you want another chance with your ex, or even if you're just trying to understand their point of view. I'm Brad Browning, breakup coach and author of the best-selling X Factor program. And I've spent the past 15 years or so helping people understand their breakups and get back with their exes. And that is my mission again here today, to help you figure out what your ex is feeling and show you what you can do about it to get them back faster and with less drama. Because I've really seen so many situations where two people are still in love after a breakup. They want to give it another shot, and instead they let their pride or their anger or their fear get in the way, and they end up all alone. And that's really what you have to understand first. Your ex is almost never going to just come up to you and say, I love you, I miss you, I need to be with you, and then jump back in your arms. Of course, that would be an amazing moment, and it does happen sometimes, but in almost all of my experience working with thousands of real people in this situation, that really isn't normally how it goes down. And that's because while your ex may want you back incredibly badly, they have competing priorities that are getting in the way of them asking you for another chance. So first off is their pride. However it went down, they chose to walk away from this relationship. They thought they could leave with their head held high and move on to a new life without you in it. But for whatever reason, they probably just couldn't let you go that easily. In fact, being away from you made them realize that they made a huge mistake. And that's the issue, because no one wants to admit that they've made a mistake. Pride is a very powerful thing. And second, your ex's anger may be holding them back. Whether they're genuinely upset over something that you did or said during the breakup, or they're just holding on to resentment towards you, this is going to make them hesitate to come to you with their feelings. And finally, fear is always a huge factor here. Your ex is afraid of what you might say if they reach out to you and ask for another chance. What if you totally shut them down and they're left feeling humiliated? What if you rip into them for treating you like you're disposable, only to come crawling back? And what will their friends, their family, their community, what will they think about them waffling on something like this? And these are really all the things that are standing between you and your ex confessing their love for you. And that's why they're going to show you they're interested indirectly, sometimes intentionally, to try to get you to make the first move, and sometimes because they just can't hide it. So these signs that your ex still loves you are usually going to be subtle, but they are going to add up until they really just can't be ignored. So let's start with sign number 1, which is they drag their feet. So one of the major signs that your ex is still in love with you is about the refusal to let you go. And you'll know this is the case if they drag their feet when it comes to separating your lives. So I've seen exes push back the date that they're moving out. I've seen exes who don't want to divide the book collection because they're just too busy right now. And most often, I've seen exes hold on to your belongings or refuse to pick up their own because they're afraid that it might be the last time they see you. Your ex probably thinks if they can push back moments like this, they can sort out their feelings for you. Maybe build up the courage to ask you for another chance. And another one I see a lot is that people won't delete photos on social media or remove you from their Instagram bio or their profile photo. And they'll also maybe fail to cancel plans that you've made for the future, like hotel bookings or concert tickets. Now, your ex may have good excuses for this kind of behavior, but that's just what they really are, excuses. In reality, they're just trying to hold on to you for as long as they can. And sign number 2, they treat you as a villain in their narrative. So, if your ex is always talking smack about you to other people, then that is a very good sign for your chances. Unless you did something truly cruel to your ex, like cheating on them or ghosting them out of the blue, then this is typically a sign that your ex is still interested in you. Now, I know on the surface this doesn't make a lot of sense. You'd think that your ex putting you on blast or telling other people that you're a jerk is a sign that they hate you. But the odds of your ex truly hating you aren't very high unless, like I just said, you did something major. Now, there's actually 2 reasons that your ex is going to act this way. They're thinking, if I can't have them, nobody can. So they're trying to just poison your name to the community so, you don't end up moving on with somebody new. They know that they couldn't handle seeing you dating somebody when they still have such strong feelings for you. And the second reason is a bit less obvious. If your ex still loves you and is unable to actually come out and say it, it's because they feel conflicted. And they know that obsessing over you and how much they miss you is going to be very painful, and it'll make it impossible to move on. But if they can tell themselves and others that you're the villain, then they can think about you and talk about you as much as they want without risking getting attached or falling back in love with you. Again, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you think about it logically, but on a psychological level, it's something that is very common. And this might be, why your ex calls you to give you grief about something from the breakup. They really want an excuse to talk to you without risking, breaking down and asking you for another chance. This just feels safer to them. And the third sign is that they're focused on how you're changing. So basically, when an ex wants you back, they typically don't want you to change. They see you changing as you moving further away from them, whether those changes are good or bad. I'm sure you've maybe noticed some similar feelings yourself when it comes to your ex. So maybe they get a new hairstyle and you think, oh, they must be trying to look good because they met somebody new. Or maybe they move house and you think, well, that's it. Now they're doing it to cut ties with me, and all the memories we made together in their old home are gone forever. So if your ex is focused on how you're changing, then that is an indicator that they're still in love with you. So, are they always asking you, what's new? And when they find out that you've got a new hobby or a new friend, do they maybe seem upset for no reason? And sign number 4, they keep telling you or showing you how they've changed. So this is sort of the opposite of the last one, and that is, your ex might try to highlight the changes that they're making to try to win you back. This is especially true if your ex feels like you're reluctant to try again because of the issues that you had with them in the relationship. Maybe they were always a heavy drinker and you always got into fights about it, and now they've quit drinking. Or maybe you didn't like their relationship with their ex, and now they've completely cut ties with them. Basically, they're trying to show you that they've solved some of the problems that were coming between you two, and so that is a sign that they really are potentially interested in getting back together. Sign number 5 is they still reach out to you regularly. And while it might seem like your ex always has a good reason to text you, chances are they're only making excuses just because they want to talk to you. Really, any kind of regular contact from your ex is a good sign for their feelings about you. Think about it. If you ended things with somebody romantically because you're no longer interested, then you'd probably dread having a conversation with them. You're trying to distance yourself from them, so why would you reach out to them? Well, the only valid reason for this is that you're not as over them as you made it seem. Of course, if your ex is texting you because you owe them money or they're in the hospital, then of course that doesn't necessarily mean that they're still in love with you. And on to number 6, which is they keep tabs on you. So we've already talked about how exes are going to try to appear like they don't care about you anymore, just in order to keep their pride intact. But many of them, many times they just won't be able to help themselves. So they'll try to get information on you really any way they can, whether that's through stalking your social media or checking in with mutual friends. I've even known people whose exes logged into their email or social media accounts without their knowledge, just in order to see who they're messaging. Creepy, but not uncommon, and definitely a strong sign of ongoing feelings. And sign 7 is they're distressed that you're dating somebody new. It's probably no surprise, but jealousy is almost always a sign that your ex still has feelings for you. But it's not always going to come out in the most obvious ways. Sometimes your ex will just try to make you feel bad for moving on so quickly from the relationship. Sometimes they'll talk shit about the new person you're seeing. Basically, if they find out that you're dating somebody else or even talking to somebody new and they have a negative or strange reaction, then you can safely assume that they are a little bit jealous. And if they are jealous, they're definitely not over you. And sign number 8 is they try to keep the conversation going. Now, sometimes your ex might be really dry over text, but that isn't always a sign that they're not interested. It's more about their follow-up to messages. So if they respond to you quickly and they always have to have the last word, no matter what you're talking about, then that is a sign that they're still interested, even if what they're saying isn't that interesting. Because this means that they're trying desperately to keep you talking, even after a conversation has reached its natural endpoint. And that's pretty obvious clingy behavior. And sign number 9 is you score 75 or higher on my free quiz. Now, if you don't know already, I've put together a free quiz to help people find out their ex's feelings once and for all. And you can find it at breakupbrad.com/quiz. It takes less than 5 minutes, it's totally confidential, and it'll tell you what to do next on your journey to get your ex back. So it's time to stop wondering and get some answers. To get those answers, just go to breakupbrad.com/quiz. And sign number 10 is they stay connected to your family or friends. Now, outside of very specific circumstances, there's really no reason for your ex to keep in contact with your family after the breakup. Sure, if they were super tight before the two of you met, then there might be some lingering connection. But in most cases, your ex is really only going to be doing this for one of two reasons. One is they just want to get your attention without being obvious about it. So they're, hanging out in your circle, waiting for you to happen by and start a conversation. Or 2, they're trying to get information about you. In either case, you probably know what they really want. And sign 11, they interact with old posts or they send you messages accidentally. Now this is one that it might seem obvious, but I've known clients and friends who have really been actually fooled by this pretty transparent move. So if your ex sends you a message, by accident, sure, it's possible that your ex could slip up and pocket text you a string of random letters and numbers, but how often does that happen for real? If your ex accidentally sends you something like this, especially late at night, you can safely assume that they knew exactly what they're doing. Now, the number of variations on this are really rivaled only by how obvious they are. So maybe your ex sent you a nude by accident, or was talking about you and sent the message to you instead of their friend. It's probably not a brain fart, it's most likely on purpose. They just want to get the conversation going, but they're embarrassed to make the first move. All right, that brings us to the end of this long list of signs. But remember that none of these are a sure thing. So look for several of these signs before you decide for sure that your ex is still in love with you. But even if they're not head over heels for you, any of this kind of behavior suggests that they are conflicted, and that means that you do still have a chance. Now, to find out what your next move should be, watch some of my other videos in the list below, or go to breakupbrad.com/quiz and see how you score. Thank you for watching. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and engaging with my content, whether it's here on YouTube or elsewhere on social media. I'm Breakup Brad Browning on Instagram and Breakup Brad on TikTok. Best of luck, and I will see you next time right here.